Okay, ladies and gents, it is your friendly Texas real estate agent, Dallas based. I can listen to the whole state. I'll do it. We'll work something out. Who cares? But I'm going to educate you. Texas homeowners, Texas buyers. I'm sure there's 100 videos out there. We're going to try to run through this real quick. Parties, you, seller, you're going to put your name on the deed. Buyer, that's whatever you want to write in that matches an ID or an LLC. This you can find on the CAD. Street address. Street address, search the CAD, find you as the owners, bam, bam, bam. That's where it goes. Things you need to specify. You always need to specify what personal property is staying and going, what mineral rights, if you have them. You probably don't if you live in a city, and you'd be lucky off if you live on anything less than like 20 acres, you probably still don't have mineral rights. Okay, exclusions. Right there. Okay, you're going to write those in. Cash. This is actual cash going to the table. All right? So if they got $20,000 in their bank account for their mortgage, that's cash that's going to the table. Third-party financing addendum. Different video. Financing. This is what the mortgage statement or mortgage borrowing amount will read. Sales price, total sales price of the house. If you're selling at $200K, they bring $20K down. This should say $180. Okay? That's what that should say. Leases. Most of y'all don't have leases. We can do that in another video. Earnest money and termination. All right? This is a vital part. What I like more about Texas contracts over Oklahoma, and I don't even remember filling out some Arkansas stuff, but it's what I like more in Texas than Oklahoma. Option. Option is the really short, tiny day where you put out like $50 to $300 depending on the property and what negotiations you're in. You're forfeiting that. That's your forfeit money to fully execute canceling the contract at any point. Okay, if you walk in, you don't like the way it looks, you don't like the way it smells, you don't like the dog they have sitting on the couch, you execute the option, you back out, you're only out $50 to $300. Okay. If you get through the option period, typically 3, 5, or 7 days, you go into the earnest money period. Earnest and option are sent in together most of the time. Okay. The earnest money is typically 1 to 2%, depending on the commitment level of the buyer. All right. So when you go into the earnest period, you're now 1 foot in the door. You're partially committed. There's going to be some repercussions if you back out. So now that you're in the earnest money, you will forfeit that basically at any point throughout the transaction. So if you go in, you fail to perform, you just want to back out because you change your mind up to a certain point, you will lose both option and earnest money. Note, if you back out with no solid reason whatsoever that's not written in the contract, you could fall under due performance. Okay, I'm not an attorney. I'm just repeating what we've dealt with. All right, termination of option, failure to timely deliver. Also with the new contracts, if you don't deliver option or earnest money at all, or within the option period, if you don't deliver this money within the option period, you can be forced to close on the house or get sued, okay? We actually had a run-in with this when I was working with the wholesale brokerage, all right? The guy was an anal attorney, and he wanted to stick it to him because he fought over the verbiage down in the contract. Title policy. If you don't specify anything, most of the time, everybody will split fees, okay? Title policy is like 1/3 of your closing costs. You need to specify who does it here, the title company, blah, blah, blah. And then it changes to the policy. Most of the time, you will not amend them. Survey, different topic. Objections need to be written here. Always fill this out just in case something comes up. Title notices, we're going to go down here. Acquired notices, property issues, okay? Seller's disclosure. Just go ahead and fill one out, please. Just go ahead and fill out a seller's disclosure. It's the easiest thing in the world. All right. Most of the time, we check as is. If you're buying retail to retail, like homeowner to homeowner, you will want to use damages as leverage, and you can write them in here. Or if the property's immaculate, you just mark as is. Okay, gonna go down. Broker's agent disclosure. If the agent has any monetary investment in the property, they have to disclose it legally. Otherwise, you can call for damages. Closing day. Possession. You always want closing and funding unless there's a post-lease agreement. Special provisions. My buddy Max just dropped a video a couple days ago at the time of recording this. An agent called him telling him that signing a contract was illegal, and they blew up the deal the day of closing. If it is in here, okay, this contract is assignable. If that's in there, that's now contract law. Yes, we as agents are taught that you cannot practice law, but most brokers, if your broker allows wholesaling or assignments or whatever else, they will sign off on that. Me at Fathom, I always write in, if you're not going to use a personal property addendum, I always write in all personal items transfer to buyer upon closing or sale. Okay. And then we represent a lot of mobile home purchases. The mobile home must be elected real property, because sometimes mobile homes aren't tied to the land legally. So this is being filled out and my broker is signing off on it. Okay. Right here, this is where the agents mark the amount of money that they're getting paid, or you are offering to pay to the other party. All right. So in summary, these sections that will get you in trouble, all right, are going to be title policy and survey. This is the number one that gets skimmed over, where more fees get added up on the HUD-1 at closing. That's your closing statement, by the way. All right, a HUD-1 is that giant T chart with all the debits and credits all over it. So if this is not filled out right, just have your representative, your agent, and or your attorney go in, buyer to pay all closing costs and title fees. And then what I always like to super specify, but I'll get some agents fighting me, and agent commissions. Okay. Or you do this, seller to pay half closing costs and agent commissions. Now it's written in there. I always like adding all this stuff because it is plain words. You're not dancing around all this legal jargon and excess sentences. It's for where you as the homeowner can read this. All right.